seem reasonable to expect this long of a delay for the crime lab.
Despite a backlog of nearly 100,000 untested DNA samples, New Orleans police tell Fox 8 the city's new crime lab will not be completed for nearly 4 more years. Following a Fox 8 investigation revealing the worsening backlog of the NOPD's untested DNA samples, the department reveals its new crime lab will not be fully operational until 2027.
That leaves the majority of the work to the already overwhelmed Louisiana State Police Lab. Maddie Kurth reports.
As a former prosecutor for the Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office, Laura Rodrigue has dealt with the city's shortcomings in DNA testing for years.
It's obvious that we need all the help that we can get in terms of criminal justice, and it is very disappointing to find out that it will be years in the waiting for our DNA crime lab to be up and running.
The New Orleans Police Department tells Fox 8 its new state-of-the-art $25 million crime lab will not be fully up and running to process untested samples until late 2027. Right now, records show the city has nearly 100,000 unprocessed DNA samples.
Analyzing the evidence left at the crime scenes is often the difference between arresting somebody and the offender getting away.
Crime watchdog Rafael Goyeneche says processing that biological evidence quickly is crucial.
That is an important tool that we're years away from having, but that doesn't mean that the city needs to wait for that.
In January, then newly appointed crime lab director, Dr. Shamika Kelly, listed 15 new jobs for the DNA testing unit. The NOPD says candidates have been moving through the interviewing process, though it's unclear how many have been hired or what job they would be doing until the new facility opens. Goyeneche says a 2027 ribbon cutting shouldn't stop the city from using any available workers now.
Doesn't mean that those people can't be utilized in some other disciplines and maybe outsourced to private labs or to the state police lab to handle more cases from New Orleans.
Records show the NOPD sends fewer than 300 DNA samples to the state for testing each year.
It's not because the state police are taking advantage of the city. It's because they have, many sheriffs don't have DNA capabilities, and the backlog statewide is horrendous.
DNA is something that jurors now expect to see. They watch television shows, they see what's going on across the country, and they don't want to rely on just witness testimony in order to convict somebody.
Goyeneche says with a new superintendent leading the police force, interim solutions should be found.
I don't blame the police department for that. That's the political, leadership failing the city of New Orleans that we're finally getting around to opening up this lab. The fact that it takes a couple of years to get accreditation is the same process that every lab goes through.
It is more likely that they have fallen victim to the bureaucratic red tape that they just can't get through it.
The NOPD says staffing limitations are a hindrance to processing all of the department's cases and that the total number of collected samples isn't indicative of the number of cases under investigation, as each case can include multiple samples and some samples might no longer hold evidentiary value.